Alright, so after the release of Murder Drones episode 7, I've been cooking for quite a while now and I think I've discovered the biggest bombshell twist. Doll's real father is in fact Mitchell. What you're hearing might sound utterly insane, but hear me out. During the flashback with Mitchell and Yeva, there are two details hinting a romantic connection. One being that Mitchell is holding Vea's hand taking her to the church guarded by sentinels, and another that after the fake out where the viewer is given the impression the Solver possessed Nori stabbed Mitchell with a USB crucifix. Yeva goes out of her way to protect him by freezing the attack before it can turn his brain into jelly. Considering the cathedral was in pretty good condition after the explosion of Copper 9, Mitchell was probably lucky enough to survive, and I don't think Glitch would show us Vea saving Mitchell's life in this scene if he wasn't going to do anything and just die like the rest of the humans we see. I can safely assume, with how under the confines of JC Jensen's research area, we never see two drones of opposite gender together, that drones may have felt isolated from any romantic bonds. As we've yet to see any proof of gay drones, they may have begun to form connections with their human captors instead. Something very much akin to real-world phenomena of Stockholm Syndrome. Now you may be wondering, how are the drones even supposed to have children with humans? Liam Vickers has stated drones reproduce purely in a digital form, by two drones lending their source code into an untrained neural network. However, I found two workarounds to this. First, is that the human has decided to create a digitized form of their consciousness, either leaving their body to live as a worker, or simply using a copy of said consciousness, and use that to create their half of the new baby drone's identity. However, this method would seem quite obtrusive, and with how poorly workers are treated, any human in love of a drone would be unlikely to want to give up their humanity and risk being made a slave to JC Jensen. The second solution could be directly correlated to the absolute Solver virus. As we've seen with Eldritch forms, the infected are capable of turning mechanical matter into flesh, giving them all sorts of appendages and even bleeding, as we've seen with Doll and Uzi. Given that if the program is capable of mimicking human anatomy on a close enough level, it should be hypothetically possible to allow the mother drone to bear children as humans do and such create offspring. Remember, Solver's physical alterations aren't permanent, so after the supposed robo-fetus is conceived, whatever organic element provided by the human could be converted into machinery, not resulting in the offspring being a freak of nature. Now I've got a lot of the how out of the way, I would like to explain the why, especially with the elephant in the room being why would this ever happen when we know Doll has a drone father? Well, get this, what if Doll's seemingly drone father was in fact an adopted father? We're never shown Doll's life growing up. Perhaps Yeva later chose to have relations with this fellow drone to prevent Doll from knowing about her unique case, along with facing any social ostracization as she developed. Drone society would be unlikely to accept someone who mingled with a human by prejudice, as we know drones are taught about how they were once enslaved by humans in the education system, and so resent would be a common feeling among them. Now, from a purely narrative perspective, I want you to have a look at Liam's past works involving humans. In Intonation Cube, we're shown the character Max, a human, being hinted as having a romantic connection with Icon, a robot. In Cliffside, the spider monster Cordy is shown to have an obsession with Waylon, who, if you guessed it, is a human. I'd like to mention these works, as it shows Liam is clearly willing to place forbidden love plot points into his stories, and gives us a good estimate on what could be predicted in later episodes. Now, while most of this theory I've been using this to explain why Mitchell is the father of Doll, there is room for plausibility that Uzi is also the offspring of one these drone falls in love with human scenarios. We know from the great lengths Nori goes to hide the fact she's still alive from Khan and her daughter, she is willing to go further than just small insignificant lies. What if when she told Den about how she had a child with Khan after being on the surface, she was just speaking another pork pie? While Doll's dad is dead and incapable of giving his own side on the story, Khan is just enough of an idiot he would probably not be alarmed or even notice if Nori was hiding a child as she first met him, and just be gaslit into thinking it was his own later down the line. In the finale of Murder Drones, the concept of Uzi having a human dad is ripe for a subversive plot twist. To have the character with so much unbridled hatred for humans, to later be revealed to be partially one herself is honestly ingenious, and could set in motion a character arc for Uzi where she goes from the immature anti-hero to someone with a wider sense of compassion, caring for both drones and humans. Thanks for listening to my terrible murder drones theory in TTS. Initially I was going to speak in the microphone but I keep stuttering during recordings. It would have been terrible on the ears. Feel free to share your own views, and correct me if any information I've gave out is wrong. Peace.